Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor, members of council. As it relates to the continued discussion, Front Royal IDA, EDA, at the last work session, we started the process of looking over the bylaws. Again, this goes into the just continued discussion with you so that staff and I can get greater clarity and guidance as it relates to the specific direction you would like to go as it relates to the EDA and the Front Royal EDA. As for some background and history, and for those of you that have been here longer than I, if my recollection is different than yours, please let me know. But the town of Front Royal officially stopped funding the Warren County EDA. I believe it was 2012, Doug?
2012.
Does that sound right? And leading up to that point, there's been the growing concern that the focus and mission of the Warren County EDA had been a lot of industrial prospects, working on industrial businesses, as well as basically becoming a government financing vehicle to fund projects. And at the time, I know there was council members at the time who wanted to see greater effort being focused on the redevelopment of empty storefronts in the town government, especially coming out of the 2009-2010 recession. So what I did was I went and had staff pull back when we funded the EDA, we funded about a 70-30 split. So the county,
28.
yeah, it was 28 technically. I'll round it to 30, but recognizing that all town citizens are county citizens, we're paying for the Warren County Economic Development Authority as a county citizen. But in fiscal year 21, so this fiscal year, the requested budget of the EDA was $121,808 out of a budget of $406,000. That was their budget going into fiscal year 21 that the county considered, and that's probably
400,000 was their budget. The 30 split would be 128 something.
121 would have been our portion
Equivalent.
if we were under that kind of a funding formula.
Yeah.
So your options, is it's my opinion as the interim town manager that we need an economic development authority focusing on the redevelopment of our empty storefronts. And so we can do nothing like we have been as far as funding and focus since 2012 for the town of Front Royal. You could work out an arrangement, even though we're in the middle of a lawsuit with the EDA, but eventually you could work out $121,000. But I think you still need ultimately a person focusing on the redevelopment of town businesses. So if that person cost, I think a speaker tonight said $90,000 or $99,000, I think ultimately you're going to end up paying for a person to focus on the redevelopment of businesses. And so what I wanted to do tonight was two things. I wanted to get guidance from you, greater clarity and guidance as it relates to do you want to move forward. Again, we've incrementally moved forward in this process. We've gotten the state to approve our ability to have an IDA. You've voted on an ordinance to institute an IDA. Now it's a matter of, do we want to actually go out and seek applications to find individuals to sit on this board, and ultimately the board will approve bylaws, which would basically be encouraged bylaws from you, right? So you would develop, and the county attorney would develop draft bylaws, give it to the EDA board, and suggest the EDA adopt these kind of bylaws. So that's what I'm looking for tonight. If again, at any point in this process, whether it's prior to actually putting the board in place, whether it's 6 months after the board is in place, I mean, you have the discretion to change course. So tonight I wanted to find out, there's a couple ways, and Mr. Napier, correct me if I'm wrong, as it relates to the appointment of a board. One way is individual council members can just recommend someone and then the board, the council would adopt.
Correct.
Another way is to actually seek out applicants through an application process similar to what we're doing with the planning commission that I mentioned tonight. So, or do nothing and wait a week or two, and we'll talk about it some more. Whatever your, but I'm looking for direction. That's all.
Strategic out of the. I'm trying to think of what I was going to go with. 120. Well, actually, you said a couple of things. You started to give some history behind this on how we've moved towards establishing an IDA. I'm not going to rehash everything that I've said in the past, but one of the things I don't want to see happen is what kind of happened to us with the code change for the blighted buildings, where we made the changes to improve some of the properties around our town, but then we didn't fund the ability to have more of the enforcement aspect and processing aspect for it. So we've already approved the IDA, we've already moved to establish that. I'll just reiterate my comments from the past really quick, which was I would love to see us to have some sort of collaboration, some sort of redevelopment of our own EDA as it stands now. And in the absence of that, and as we're working through our lawsuits, we've established our own IDA. I would like to see us move forward with advertising to staff the position. If we do something if we do end up doing something with our current EDA outside of the town, it more than likely would look like if we want to have the active role we had in 2012, that there would be a 70-30 split, which means that we'd be funding part of that. So I don't see any difference between us funding that or us funding an IDA that's going to help with the redevelopment of the businesses in the downtown. Or, like I said, in 2016 when I got on council, 2017, that I would like to see an active town IDA to help with the development of pad-ready sites for businesses coming into our town and some of the prime real estate areas. And I think they'll actively be able to do that if we have the town moving forward on its own IDA. I'm also okay with us soliciting applications for board members.
Okay.
Anyone else?
Yeah, I'll go. And looking at the numbers, you mentioned 121,000, and that's just to provide us with some very general support, whereas we could use that money to specifically work on redeveloping in town, and that could also help us with some of the blighted commercial properties, because blighted buildings aren't just residential, they're commercial as well.
Exactly.
And getting those revamped. So I like this idea because it's very specific into our redevelopment efforts and to making the town more business friendly.
And thank you for that. It's a good point. It reminded me, we do have money. If you remember, we have money for in our budget that's sitting in contingency right now for blighted buildings. It wasn't specifically for residential blighted buildings.
Right.
So
We'd have to discuss that.
we'd have to discuss that in a different meeting.
Pull it out and
refocus it, repurpose it.
Well, what about CARES Act funding?
Yes. CARES Act funding would most likely be allowed to be used. And I have to hedge that statement because the county basically needs to approve how we spend the funds.
Oh, so it might be a little contentious.
So it might be, but I mean, I think if you look at the CARES Act grant, I believe you could definitely say if a
Redevelopment of businesses.
if a businesses are leaving because of closing down because of the coronavirus, it's no different than the grant we're giving businesses now in checks. So I think for the first few months up until December, some of the funding could most likely, but I have to qualify and hedge that statement.
So again, without rehashing all the reasons that I supported this, I've been very, very vocal on my reasons of why we needed to do this. But to set that aside, if we go and use the existing EDA, again, that's a 70-30 split, which our portion, again, about $121,000. I would like to do this just for the simple purpose of, redevelopment and helping our existing businesses downtown. I would like to see it go to applications, Mr. Teacher.
Okay.
And that's what it would be.
And again, we can get applicants, and you could decide not to form board. So I mean, you still have that flexibility.
And I agree, us spending $121,000 with the county, and we can fund our own EDA for practically the same price, and concentrate on us, especially our redevelopment. I think it's a win-win situation for us, and I agree with everyone else. I think we ought to do the application process.
Well, I think it's clear cut what I hear from this council. They're giving you direction.
Yeah, that's good. That's what I needed. Thank you. As far as the bylaws, did you want to go through? We sent out draft bylaws. Do you want to go through that tonight? You want to discuss that in another meeting? We have time.
I
Would it
agree.
be possible to discuss it in another meeting? I mean, we can make some comments to Doug via email, and then he can build consensus, and then
I think that'd be wonderful.
Then we can
Yeah.
talk
Yeah, I
about
think let's do it in a work session.
Okay.
Can I bring up a personnel item under this clause?
Or an open.
It is open.
Okay.
We now have 41 applicants, I already told council members. I would recommend that applicants for the town manager position, I would like to give direction to the contractor, Tilly, and tell them, I'd like for them to go to work and give us 15 applicants, but I'd like to see the brochure like we got before with all of them open. Not the brochure, but the website.
Portal, yeah.
And then you can look at them, but we want their top 15 that they recommend. That if you see one, Mr. Gillespie, that you say, okay, I'd like to include
You're
him.
forever gonna be singled out.
Yeah,
I want to see that pipe fitter over there.
Natasha, pull that out.
So I'd like to be able to move ahead with that with you all, so.
I'm fine with that. One caveat: if our consultant has, if there's any, one or two that immediately float to the top because of their relationship with those candidates, then I would like for them to, make note of that for us right away, so that, if it's, let's say it takes another 4 weeks for us to finish up this process or whatever. But there's somebody that's out there that they think is really great, and they want us to look at them right away, then let's do that and not wait.
They have mentioned that to me.
Okay, good.
I can have that accomplished.
Perfect.
Okay, the direction I have is move ahead with 15, but open the total 41 for your viewing. And the third point is to have them star the
Yeah.
ones that they actually know that would be a good fit to our community.
Sounds good.
Okay?
And I was almost number 42, Mr. Vice Mayor, and I decided not to apply.
Come on now, don't even go there. Don't even go there. I've been telling everybody, he hadn't applied.
I had to have a little fun.
Okay, we need a motion to go out of,
No, we're
That's it.
done.
We need a motion to end, we're done.
all right,
Thank you.
all
Thank
those,
you.
let's leave.